Welcome back to Man Cave Movie Night, everyone. We've got a bit of a game to play.
Finally.
Bit of a game.
And the game is as follows. You two, we are going to play a version of the all-time classic Kiss, Marry, Kill.
Yay.
However, I'm not going to tell you what we're going to rank them as. I need you two to both first come up with your own list of 3 real-world criminals.
Oh, nice.
Uh-oh. Okay.
If you want to, you know what? If you want to work one fictional one in there, you're welcome to.
Okay.
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 Lucas,
Yeah, I have mine.
you got yours?
I got mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't say them out loud,
Oh.
but I like if you can write them down or something so that we know that it's legit. You don't have to. Just remember who they are.
I'll do it.
Okay. So, with these 3 criminals, instead of Kiss, Marry, Kill, you are going to put them into their own, into one of these 3 situations. Okay?
Okay.
First, which one would be best to be put in a Ted Lasso situation where they have to move to a different country and coach a soccer team?
Okay. Great.
Which one would do the best waking up in a most dangerous game situation where someone is hunting them and they have
Nice.
to stay alive / hunt back? And finally, which one would have been most effective as the leader of the Zero Dark 30 strike?
Okay.
So, are we gonna tell each other?
Yeah,
what
now
our
you're
3
gonna
are?
present your answers.
Okay, cool.
I don't have any because I had to come up with the things.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fair. Okay,
That's
I've
fair.
got mine.
And then I'll choose a winner based on whose I think is a better list.
So that's not the Newlywed Game at all.
No,
he didn't say
I didn't
newlywed.
say it was.
He said Kiss,
Oh.
Marry, Kill.
Oh, Kiss, Marry, Kill. Yeah. Why am I thinking Newlywed Game?
Yeah, it's tough to say. It really
It's
is.
'cause I've got a
there
whiteboard.
was no indicator towards it. Okay, so
Why did my brain
for
think that?
for a criminal to be put in a Ted Lasso situation where they have to coach a soccer team in a different country, who did you guys pick?
I
I
said
picked-
Bill Cosby.
Oh, yikes.
Okay.
I chose Ted Bundy.
Okay. All right.
I'm
Interesting
excited for that
picks.
matchup.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting
Yeah.
one-on-one. Okay,
the ball.
next up. Which criminal would be best to wake up in a most dangerous game situation?
Mine I put was Doctor Doom, the one fictional criminal I chose.
You picked a very supervillain criminal. I like it. I like
I said Jeffrey Epstein.
it. Okay. you went
Celebrity
What?
criminal.
you went real
Yeah, real criminal. What'd you
visceral.
want?
I don't know. I was expecting like Al Capone or something,
Oh,
but that's fine.
whoa,
like that
I mean-
works. Al Capone is a fun
I
criminal.
chose mine before you told me what I was putting them in.
Yeah, that's
You're gonna love
fair.
number
This
3.
is on
Me
me.
as well.
This is on me. Okay, and which criminal would be the most effective as the leader of the Zero Dark 30 strike?
So my third criminal I chose was Ed Gein. Who, if you don't know who that is, he's the guy who would skin people and make furniture out of them, and he was the
Yeah.
inspiration for Psycho and Texas Chainsaw Massacre and
Yeah, he's kind of like
Silence of the Lambs. Very inspirational figure in
Sure,
the world
for-
of serial
for
killers and
horrific film.
mamists.
Okay, Ed Gein leading the Zero Dark 30 strike. Okay.
Kevin Spacey.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez. Wow.
All right. I don't even know if I want to choose a winner. Listener, you choose which.
You choose a winner and then
list
keep
you
it to
think is-
yourself, and then we just won't ever speak
Yeah,
about it again.
don't tell anyone about this podcast. Here's a theme song.
Did I ruin your game?
No, it was
No,
perfect.
that was fun.
That was
That was very
hilarious. I love it. And welcome back to Man Cave Movie Night, a podcast where we generally don't talk about things that are super uncomfortable to hear about, like very visceral modern crime.
Woo.
I'm Niall Thorley,
I'm Jared Thorley.
I'm Lucas Thompson.
and together we
Two
are
Ps.
Man Cave Movie Night. Anyway, jeez, I'm so thrown off by that intro that I'm trying to get my feet under
Trying
me
to
right
get
now.
your groove back on. We're
Like-
talking about
Well,
crime, Niall.
yeah, this is an
Remember,
episode
crime.
We're
about
talking about
crime.
crime. It's an episode about crime, which honestly,
Crime can throw your groove off
Weirdly-
sometimes.
weirdly entertaining. Yeah, crime do be throwing off people's grooves every now and then. That's maybe reduced way down the definition of crime.
It's throwing
Something that
society
throws
off,
off
its groove.
society's
Yeah,
groove.
yeah, there you
just
go.
right off.
Yep.
But yeah, I think there's. Geez, I'm getting a lot of interference in my mic, so I hope that's not coming through in the podcast itself. But there's a lot of crime entertainment, and I've always thought that's kind of interesting because I think that society generally does not do crime, and yet,
Well,
yeah, who's to say? We'll
who's to
find
say?
out.
We'll find out this
But-
episode.
But I think that it's interesting that people are so drawn to it, and there are so many crime dramas and true crime podcasts and crime documentaries, but then also like fictionalized crime and blah blah blah. It's just a thing that seems to be interesting
Very
to people.
popular.
It's definitely interesting to me. I get sucked into good old crime drama. So, how do you guys feel about crime in
Well,
general?
this is kind
and
of
then
our fun
also
way.
in an entertainment context.
You know, we haven't been growing quite as much as we'd like, so this is our fun way of announcing that we're becoming Man Cave Crime Night, where now it's
Yeah.
a true crime podcast. Well,
That's
no,
very
the
true.
the thing that's cool about this podcast now is actually we're gonna watch other true crime shows and then discuss them,
Mm-hmm.
and so you're gonna get a second layer of opinions about why
Yeah.
true crime is cool. So I think you guys are
the
really
True
gonna like
Crime
that.
Reaction
That
podcast.
pivot in our that pivot in our
Man Crime Reaction Night.
So this is just a
Yeah.
little aside before I answer your question, but I was stuck in traffic for 2 hours driving home from work on Friday, and I was looking at this billboard that I've driven past dozens of times, and I just realized that it is a billboard for a true crime podcast, and the marketing was just so bad that I couldn't even read what it was because it's like made out of like glasses and like a stethoscope and things. It's called Binged or something like that. And I just
Okay.
think the fact that this true crime podcast has enough money to make a bad billboard and keep it up for months for me, who's driven
Fair.
past it dozens of times, to not even process it, shows that true crime is doing pretty well. You know, people be liking their crime stuff.
People just take whatever they can get.
They take what they can
Good
get.
roundabout way of saying it.
Personally,
Maybe we'll name this episode True Crime just to get clickbait clicks.
yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
let's do that.
let's
Not
do
a bad
that.
idea.
Not
Have
a
you guys
terrible
listened
idea.
to any true crime? Like,
Well, I
is
was going to
that-
say, there are some. So I think the reason why, and we'll get into this a little bit later, true crime is so popular right now is because there's a little bit of a part of you or a part of people who listen to it that thinks, you know, maybe I could do it after all. Maybe I could commit that.
Could have done that
crime I
better
want
even.
to.
Yep.
And
You start analyzing the mistakes that they made, and
exactly.
you're like, "Oh, I
and
wouldn't.
there's
See,
a
I
little
wouldn't
bit
have done
of,
that."
I would have caught that.
And I think this
Well,
goes
I
well
think-
with our mystery episode, but yeah.
Wasn't it Megan from the It's Always Sunny podcast that said the opposite of when the victims? She's like, "Oh, I wouldn't have done that. It's not about getting away with the crime. It's
yeah.
about no, I wouldn't be so dumb to get in that situation.
Yeah.
To
Have a
be
crime
alone on
be
that
against
street
me.
or whatever.
Yeah,
To
exactly.
be
So it's
victimized.
both ways. It's
really.
you get to look at someone's life and think, "Whew, maybe I've got it better than I thought."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
could be that.
I guess to answer the question, I don't love crime. It just makes me feel icky, like
Yeah.
the true crime stuff.
Interesting. Yeah.
Even like on the other side of some film and TV that shows crime, if it's like a crime backdrop,
It's like
you
fun
know,
crime,
that's
you know?
that's fun. We're fine. We're great.
Sure.
You know, I like a suave criminal. I like people getting away with stuff in like a fun heist way, but not in a
Yeah.
serial killer could still be out there kind of way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a huge
Totally.
fan of that.
That's totally understandable. Kel, shout out real quick.
Shout out.
She loves her crime stuff. We always in our house they are called murder shows. And I will come home at any given point and my mom will be on the couch watching some murder show, whether it's like a Dateline episode or a new Netflix documentary or something, but she loves them. And I think that I just kind of genetically inherited that cuz I can't get enough of it. And like honestly a little bit like kind of the creepier and nastier the more interested I am in just like how does someone get to that point, you know?
That's fair.
And
That's
I think it comes from a point of like
can be interesting, certainly,
yeah,
I guess.
I think that there is a certain amount of like human interest in like understanding the human mind.
Yeah.
And abnormal cases are always extremely interesting just because it's like I know how a normal person operates, and this is just so far removed from that like it just becomes interesting to see how truly like inhuman some of these criminals can be, you know. And I think that that's where the interest comes from, is like more on a psychological level for at least myself, probably a lot of people, but just understanding these like abnormal psychological cases and how far they've gone, you know.
Yeah.
And I think
I also
Interesting.
we're doing this topic because it's Halloween time.
Yeah.
And so
Oh, is that why we're
this
doing it?
episode's gonna get a little spooky. Yeah. I figured we've done Halloween, we've done mysteries. We gotta
just
do something that's a
crime.
little. We gotta do something. We
crime.
gotta do the real world scaries.
Yeah, the real
Which is
world
crime.
scary.
and I think, you know,
So
to an extent, it can be like the idea of if we don't learn our history, we're doomed to repeat it. So now that we know
True.
about these horrific serial killers, we're like, oh, now I know not to skin someone and make furniture out of their skin. So
Right.
I think, you know, it's if you
Ed
put it in
Gein,
that
Ed
context,
Gein blazed that trail so that we don't
so
have
we
to
don't
find
have
out that
to.
that's a bad
Exactly.
thing to
That's
do.
a bad thing to do.
Is-
So I
that's
think
why
it's
he did it.
really helpful to
Yeah.
see it from that perspective, and then you can kind of understand a little bit more. Oh, that's why people want to watch it so much, is so that they don't make the mistakes of our forefathers. So, you know, just a little 2 cents.
Cool. No, yeah, I dig. I
Great.
dig. Thanks for humoring me on this episode. 'Cause
No, this will be fun.
I
Well,
wanted
like
to
know.
like Jared,
It's good, yeah.
I don't really like. I don't dislike true crime by any means, but I just also don't consume it in high volumes. I've watched a couple, you know, Netflix docuseries. It's kind of impossible to avoid them because there are literally hundreds. And I've listened to a couple like short podcasts where it'll be like 3 episodes about a particular topic I'm interested in. For instance, the Marilyn Manson murders that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is based on.
Oh, yeah.
I listened to a podcast about that before that movie came out, and it was really interesting. And so it's like, yeah, they're
the
definitely-
Charles Manson murders.
Charles Manson. Yeah, sorry, not
You know, Marilyn Manson.
Marilyn Manson.
He was
musician,
killing it.
who was also
he was killing
yeah,
something.
He's
yeah,
killing something.
but
just
he
not
also turned
human
out to
beings.
be a super creepy bad guy. So
But
look
I
into
think they're
Marilyn Manson scandals if you want. There's
Yeah,
some crime
well,
in there.
I'm
It's not the fun
sure there
crime
is.
though.
Not a fun crime.
Not fun.
No, it's not fun crime.
Yeah.
There definitely is some interesting psychological analysis that can come from, you know, even just people who follow criminals, especially in the Manson case. He didn't technically murder Sharon Tate or some of the people, but he was always in charge of it, and he was the reason they were
Definitely
murdered.
guilty of it.
Yeah, he was definitely
Yeah.
guilty of it, even though his hands directly were not the ones doing the murder. Like, he was in charge and responsible. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting. It can be very titillating and wildly fascinating sometimes, but I just would prefer to consume other types of content usually. But I do think it's
Sure.
fun to, you know, learn about and do it every now and again.
Well, the only real that's not true. I've listened to 2 true crime podcasts kind of things. One was a dramatic retelling of the Utah person with his wife and kids
Utah
and stuff.
person, Ted
I don't
Bundy.
remember.
Oh, the guy Josh something, the brother Josh that blew up his house.
Yeah.
The brother
So I listened
Josh
to a
who
bit of
blew up
that.
his house. Is that the name of the
Yeah,
podcast?
Yeah,
Well,
something like
yeah.
that. It was called like Cold. No, I don't know. I can't remember. I didn't
that
like it that
story's
much.
messed up.
It's a messed up story, and it was like a dramatic retelling, and there's
Yeah,
actors in
that's
some
weird.
parts, and I just really
Ah,
didn't vibe with that.
Not a fan.
But the other one I listened to was recommended by friend of the podcast, Grantland Tracy. Shout out to Grantland.
Heyo.
It's a podcast called Serial, and it's a very popular one.
Yeah.
A lot of people have listened to it. Basically, it follows a reporter looking into a case that was closed and someone was convicted 20 plus years ago. And things didn't always add up, and maybe the lawyers weren't representing the client well, and, you know, trying to pick apart this case of who truly murdered this high schooler, right? Was it the ex-boyfriend? Was it somebody else? And every episode, it could have been. You'll have to listen to find out.
Check it out.
But each episode, as she's telling the story, she's switching from, like, sides herself. Like, she's trying to stay unbiased, but each episode she finds new information out. And it's like, well, now I thought for sure he was innocent, but now I'm not sure, right? And now it's got to be this guy. It's got to be Jay, right? And then it's not. Anyway, it's kind of ambiguous throughout, but I love the act of investigation, the act of trying to solve a puzzle. So that part of true crime I do dig, but she was very clinical about it, very like, here are the facts, and not really getting into the gross parts of it, you know?
Sure.
It was like,
That's cool.
she was like, this is the time frame where the murder should have occurred. Now, if we think about what the phone records say, does that line up? So
That's cool.
That's what I like about that one.
So your example made me think of an example, and I think another reason why people are so into true crime, and I think part of it is when the story is just like so crazy that you just can't believe that it actually happened. And I think there is a lot of over exaggeration sometimes in these true crime series, especially, but when you're really presented with hard facts and not as much speculation, I think that is really when it gets me. Case in point, I watched a documentary called Dear Zachary a few months ago, which is about that. It's not really even a true crime movie, like documentary, but it is because it's about a crime that happened. I'm not going to say anything about it. I wouldn't even say look up anything about it, but just going off my recommendation, it's only 90 minutes. Like, if you ever have an evening where you're like, oh, I kind of want to watch a true crime type thing, watch that, because that is the exact type of thing where you start. Obviously, I knew nothing about this. You've probably never heard of this documentary. I hadn't even ever heard of it. We started watching it, and just immediately it's this crazy situation that is truly unbelievable. And I think that, and it's all backed up with evidence, because it's basically this friend who made it about his friend. Like, he's not really a filmmaker or anything. It's just kind of this guerrilla style documentary that he made, but it's really, really well made. And it's really, really interesting learning, and just unbelievable how terrible human beings can be sometimes. But also that, like, it actually happened. I think that's part of where the intrigue can come from as well. That the fact that some of these things actually happened.
That it's real.
That it's real, yeah. And I think it's the idea.
I'm interested.
I would
in that.
never do that, but I guess someone else thought to do that and then actually did do it. So
Yeah. It's nuts. Yeah, I'll look that up. You said it's called Dear Zachary?
Yep, Dear Zachary.
All
it's
right.
on
That's
Prime.
an official Man Cave movie night
Suggestion.
recommendation. That's where we play a sound bite that's like boo 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 boo
Oh, yeah. Stuff to figure
MCMN
out.
recommendation.
Watch it.
Cool.
Anyway,
Very cool.
Well, that was pretty much my
I was gonna
first
say,
question.
is that your question?
It's just why
Cool.
is that
No,
interesting?
that's
Yeah,
good.
I was.
So
It was
let
going to be
me-
recap, but then I was like, oh, we might as well just go
Yeah,
straight
just get
into it. So
let me
we
use that
covered
to
it.
segue into my question. If
Can't wait.
that's good.
It's good.
Okay, cool. So my question then with that is, what do you think is the worst crime you could realistically get away with? Just as is. Like, you don't have to do a lot of planning. You can just kind of do it. And then, based on what that crime is, pitch me a movie or a series where you adapt it dramatically.
Okay.
Assuming you get away with the crime as well. Or maybe you get away with it for a while and then you get caught, like that one Jared was talking about, where years later they come back and reopen the case. But
I was
let's
thinking-
hear your pitches.
I wanted mine to be something like white collar. I was
embezzlement or
hoping that I
laundering.
could do embezzlement. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's just ain't no way I'm smart enough with money to embezzle something in a way that wouldn't be immediately noticed.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey Niall, where did this $100,000 go?
I don't know. I'm actually putting in my 2 weeks. So
So I don't think you're actually allowed to ask
I'm
that.
not really, I don't think I'm the right guy to ask.
Well, it says it was
Oh,
deposited.
they're hiring a new guy. He might know.
You bank at Zion's Bank, right? Huh?
What's that? No,
The direct
don't
deposit account is the same as your.
Yeah, but don't worry about that.
Oh, okay.
Mainly. No, so I thought about that, and I wished that would be it. I'm a little upset that this is my answer, but I genuinely, truly believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And preface, I will never do this.
Yeah, I think that's
yeah,
a big
I have
preface.
moral,
preface.
I have moral and mental blocks that will keep me from ever doing this. / just no desire to do so. However, I think that I could murder a guy and not get caught.
What is this episode? I don't like it.
I think I could murder a guy.
Because
The way
here's
you
the
said
thing.
that.
Here's the thing. Listen, hear me out. The main thing with any crime, but especially murder, is motive. So if you do a serial killer style one, where you just like you go on vacation, you get one guy, and then you never repeat it. Like as long as you like wear gloves and whatnot. I also don't know what stuff
How
the
you would do it?
FBI has access to. I'm sure they would find out. But in my mind, I'm like, easy. Could do it for
Yeah.
sure. So we would make a movie then about a guy who would not be named Niall Thorley because I don't want to be associated with this project.
But you're
Kinda
like,
already
I have
are.
this idea for a movie that definitely I did not do, but it's like a cool idea. So
And I'm also writing and directing and starring. But the idea would basically just be a kind of maybe like a Fargo style, like the murder is like the first thing that happens, but then you see
Yeah.
the life of this person afterward with like the guilt of that on their shoulders, despite the fact that it's like not something that they're like really attached to with like their story. They have no background with this person. It was just kind of a non-motivated thing that just happened. But then, like, instead of Fargo, where it's a connection with someone, it's just like some random person. And then you watch this person inevitably just psychologically break down under the stress of guilt.
yeah. Interesting. I love that.
So.
I mean, I love the movie fit for it. I don't love the idea of you just saying you're gonna murder a guy.
I'm not gonna.
But he could. Oh, but he has the capacity to.
You have the capacity.
Yeah.
You could get away
No,
with it.
I truly don't think that I don't have the capacity to, like, steal from a Walmart. So I don't think that I
Yeah.
could really scale that up to vicious
Ending
crime.
someone else's life.
Yeah, I can't see it in my future, and I don't think a psychic would see it in my future either. Not a reading.
Yeah. I think so. Mine that I think I could realistically get away with. That's probably the worst. I don't think I could hurt somebody. Like
Like murder.
I'm not saying I'm better than Niall, but I just
I don't think I could. I think if I didn't have those inhibitions, I think I could get away with it if I
okay.
did.
Let's just play
Yeah.
back when you said you could do that. I could kill
That's
a guy.
not what I meant. That's not how I meant it.
I could no. He said I could murder a guy.
I could murder a guy. That's right.
That's
what-
not what I meant.
what
and
I-
Everyone knows it.
What I think I could get away with and be fine is probably Grand Theft Auto.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
I think I could. I think
That's a cool crime.
I would never do it. Again, it's a cool crime. Theft is, as far as the showmanship of crime, the most showy. That's fun, you know?
Yeah.
It's just property theft, and I don't like the idea of taking anything from people. Again, morally object
Except
to
for
that.
Walmart.
Only when Walmart... Okay, I've stolen once from Walmart. And that was not even my fault. I scanned my grapes,
Oh,
and I weighed it,
no.
and it said 2 cents. And I was like, well, if you say so. And then I put it in my bag.
So you still technically
It's a
paid
full
for it.
thing of
Just
grapes.
So
underpaid.
exactly. So I
That's
did I did I take the
I
pay
think
for the full
Walmart went
value?
bankrupt because
No.
of that. Actually, I was reading in the news the other day.
Yeah, grape theft
Oh,
leads to
no, no,
Walmart's
no,
demise.
this
One
can't
instance
keep
of grapes
happening.
being underpaid made them go under.
Well, I'm sorry, guys.
It's okay.
But I could steal a car from a dude, from a guy.
That's the thing. A lot of cars, like people just are a little bit too trusting. People leave their keys. My
Yeah.
uncle got
Yeah.
his car stolen because he left his keys just in his seat, and one day
Someone
the
just
car
took
was
it.
just gone. Yeah, someone just took it. It
Yeah.
was like he was like, well, the person probably wasn't planning on going out and stealing a car, but they were probably
Right.
just walking past, saw keys on the seat, got in, and then just drove off.
Yeah.
And then they never
like
caught him.
mine
Like
now.
that was it. And he couldn't
Yeah.
get insurance money for it because it was his fault. Like he did no preventative measures to, you know.
Yeah, my
So-
hope is that people would be able to get some sort of insurance of theft, paid out.
Yeah.
And maybe I'd choose my mark carefully to make sure that this
See.
would be like my movie would be a guy who just really needs money, but
You steal the
truly
car from him.
does not. No, I'm the guy who needs money.
Oh, I see.
And I'm like, I really need cash, and I just don't want to do anything illegal, but it's kind of like that I have to at this
see.
point.
Sure.
I've done all the legitimate routes. Nothing's opening up. Can't do anything. I'm just like, okay, I just need some quick bucks. I'm gonna just steal a car. And then I just dive into, okay, well, who could I steal a car from who won't be affected by it and also wouldn't care enough to look for me?
Yeah.
And try to figure out
nice.
like
Cool.
like
That's
maybe
fun.
someone wealthy, but not like wealthy enough that they don't mind missing a car, but not
have-
too wealthy where the cars that they have are gonna be
Or
like
their
Triples
main
red hot.
Barracuda.
Yeah, exactly. Triples of the Barracuda. Triples of the best. And so I would carefully plan it out, and then I don't know, maybe just some like minor thing I screwed up on, and that's what gets me caught.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
You know what I
and
mean?
It's just like
I
the
do a lot
little
of
thing.
planning, and then there's one thing like a bystander, kind of like
Yeah.
a Baby
And then
Driver,
you gotta-
Baby Driver,
When-
yeah. Yep.
but he can't do it.
You're not gonna
so.
kill him,
Yeah.
so it's just like, whoops, I guess I got
Yeah.
caught.
Right.
See, my
Yeah.
preventative measure so that my car does get stolen. I have an AirTag in my car, so some people have called me Sherlock Holmes.
So you can go right to the person. You can go right to the crackhead with a gun and a knife who stole it from you.
Yeah, and I
Like,
can
hey,
say,
man.
hey, can I get my car back, please? Please, please, please.
And
And
Niall's
the guy's
like, I'm
"Oh
sorry
yeah, bro.
to
I
do
didn't,
this.
Yeah,
I
sorry.
didn't know that was yours, dude." Daps you up,
Exactly.
gives you the keys back.
He's like, bro,
So-
you drive a Prius?
Oh, dude, that's sick.
Dude,
Sorry
I was
about
just
that.
looking for something
Here's your
fuel
keys back.
efficient like this. It drives really nice. You might want to get the tires realigned though.
So
Great.
we were just having a little goof and a gaff, making fun of Niall, who said he could murder a guy.
I do feel very uncomfortable going first and saying that, and then having the next one be I could steal a car.
Well, Niall, you shouldn't feel too bad because I'm gonna say that I could murder a guy too.
Okay.
Yeah,
In-
there we
here's-
go.
But he's like
Here's my
in
thing.
combat in Iraq.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my justification and rationale is a little bit different from Niall. So let me present my argument as to why I could get away with this.
And why it's
I feel
better
like-
than my answer.
And no, it's the same answer essentially, but basically, if you're okay, just picture this scenario, right? You're driving home and it's like decently late, and there's just one person on a walk, and you hit
This
them
is why
with your
women are
car.
afraid all the time, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but the person I'm describing murdering is a man, so you shouldn't be afraid of him.
Women,
us.
you're safe.
So fear is non-binary.
Exactly. So let me
Get
just
that
finish
on one
this,
of our
uh,
official Man
let-
Get Movie Night
let me finish this
t-shirts.
hypothetical.
Fear is non-binary.
That kind of goes
Oh.
hard, honestly.
Fear
It goes
is-
very hard.
Fear is gender neutral. So you hit this guy, right? And
With a
you
car?
just drive off. Yeah, you hit him with your car, and you drive off, and that's
Okay.
it. You're like far enough away from your place. You
So-
get your hose at your place and wash the blood off. No one's gonna know. Like no one's around. It's late at night, and so yeah, I think I could realistically get away with that. Like Niall said, I wouldn't do it, but I think I could.
Let's be very clear.
Logistically,
None of us want to commit any crimes.
We're not out here committing
Well,
crime.
here's the thing.
Lucas
though.
asked this question
Lucas.
as a hypothetical. Maybe something we'd talk about alone and not
You've
on
got-
a podcast
and not
that
on
would be
the
distributed.
Immortal.
Blasted
Yeah.
out on the internet.
I take qualms.
Okay, but let me
Why?
let me
Have
do my
issues.
pitch and then I'll hear your qualm.
Sure, pitch your movie.
Here's the pitch. the pitch is that scenario, right? A guy driving home, but he unintentionally hits a guy with his car. So he's not setting out to murder someone. He just accidentally hits a guy with his car. And then, instead of feeling bad about it, he likes it. And he thinks, you know what? Actually, that was kind of cool. And so he leaves the dead body, drives off, and then he starts kind of planning out, how can I commit other murders on just random
He gets
people?
a brush guard on the front of his car.
Yeah, he just he starts doing little things. So he starts, doing more of these murders where it's just people walking around at night. He just hits them and drives off. And
And you're
then
saying this isn't you? The character's not you?
No, the character, I mean, I would play him, but it's not based
Sure.
on me. I didn't actually do
Okay,
these
continue.
things. And then
Right.
he maybe escalates it a little bit more to where maybe he's walking on the street and then he just, as he's walking past someone, he just shivs them.
Somebody hits him.
Ooh.
Oh, maybe that. Well, I was thinking more of the idea of
Oh.
he just gets addicted
Sorry,
to
I was-
becoming a killer, and then he starts
Gotcha.
coming up with more and more intricate ways of killing people. As he's like, well, if I'm killing all these people with the car and there's no real chance of me getting caught, then where's the excitement in that? And so then he comes up with more different ways that maybe are a little bit more public and things like that, where he's gonna have a little bit higher chance of getting caught. Anyway, coming to theaters
I see it.
2025. Keep your eye out for it.
Sure, yeah. This summer, Fender Bender. In a theater near you.
Fender Bender Murder Man.
Here's my issue. There's too much evidence with hitting a guy with your car.
How?
Because you could leave tire treads in blood on the road.
Oh, I didn't think about the tire treaded in blood.
That can be
Yeah,
traced
but
back
I have
to you.
generic
Also,
tire.
your car is going to get dented, and then people are going to be like, where did that dent come from that
Dear.
wasn't there yesterday?
Dear. Easy to lie about.
Dear. Sure. All I'm saying is there is an amount of evidence
Sure. Certainly an amount.
which could be traced back to you.
I don't know that it
Whereas
could be traced
I'm going
back
on
to
a
me.
vacation to a different country, and it's a tourist hotspot.
Oh, so you're okay. Yeah. You're just, yeah.
Yeah.
Ladies, you're both gonna be able to murder whomever you want
Yeah.
in the way
I'm
you
going to go to
want
Paris in the summer when everybody's going to Paris in the summer.
Can't. Paris isn't real.
Pick off one guy,
True.
come back.
And that's it. Yeah, what are they going to do? Expedite you? Yeah, right. Paris isn't real.
I don't like.
I'm
this
liking this episode. This is fun.
I'm having a great time. Yeah.
I want it to be clear when this is played in court. For some reason, I don't like this. I don't want any part of this.
Well, Jared, what's your question then?
Yeah, let's take this away from real crime and the potential of committing crimes, and let's
Cool.
talk more about our favorite on-screen criminals. So
Yeah,
my
baby.
question is, what's your favorite on-screen criminal, or who is, I guess,
Very
Dahmer.
nice.
Just kidding.
and why?
That show was cool though.
I didn't
but
watch it.
I'm
yeah,
not
it
gonna
was a
watch
tough.
that
It
for
was
sure.
a very tough watch. But anyway,
So, yeah, Niall, say your answer.
yeah, I suppose I'll go. Man, going first is hard because I feel like there's some low hanging fruit, but I could also take some other cooler ones. But
I can
have
go
my
first.
answer.
yeah, you guys go first then, because I've got an array that I want to pick from, so
Okay.
I want it narrowed.
Do you want me
down
to go
for
first, Jared, or do you want to go?
Jared, go first.
No, I'll go
you just talked forever, Lucas.
We've talked a lot about this show before. It's one of the best shows ever made. A lot of Emmys won by it, and that is, of course, Breaking Bad with the lead criminal in that, Walter White.
Very good answer.
This is such a great, I don't even want to say like case study because it's not real, but like an in-depth look following a real kind of everyday man who chooses a life of crime and the tolls that it takes on him personally, his family, those around, like everything. But you really get to see that he enjoys it by the end. He
Yep.
Yeah.
like
He's into it.
lives to like that's all he wants to do now. That's like who he has become. I mean, there's nothing I can say about Breaking Bad that hasn't already been said, even just on this podcast. So if you want to hear why we love that show so much, go listen to our Breaking Bad episode. But
Nice.
True.
Good plug.
It
Shout out to
he's
Breaking
awesome.
Bad episode.
shout out to
Great,
Breaking
great
Bad
pick.
episode with us.
Nice. That's
my-
a great pick.
That's my pick.
My My pick is going to be Michael Corleone, played by Al Pacino in Godfather Part 1 and 2.
Nice.
His character arc in Part 1 is the main reason I love that movie so much, but then his fully like leaning into the role in the second part just is a great follow-up. Jared just put up the little 3-movie collection right behind him.
Yeah.
And
Pretty sweet.
That's why I've got this
the
here.
first part with Michael, like the movie starts at his sister's wedding, and he tells his girlfriend Kay this story of his dad intimidating this guy, and she kind of laughs it off, and he's like, "That's a true story." And he is very far removed from the family's crime side of things. He's just the military guy who is trying to be a straight man. But, some things happen in the family that kind of force him to be a part of this. And, kind of turns out he's pretty good at it, and he also likes it, similar to Walter White. Except he's
And
forced
Lucas
into it where
Cofford.
Walter White and me in this story that, not based on any truth or fact, but would be a cool movie to watch. But this Michael Corleone story is just so exciting to watch him, his as he kind of devolves into this criminal underworld like mastermind. It's such an amazing story. So yeah, Michael Corleone.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
That's great.
It's a very good pick. I want to do a quick shout out to another, like the Breaking Bad universe contains so many that are
True.
all very good examples.
True,
Jesse
true.
Pinkman is one that comes to mind, but the other
Who?
one that I could have been like a full answer. I'm not doing it. I'm not falling for the Who jokes.
Why,
okay?
who?
It's not going to happen. I'm not saying it. But Saul Goodman, Jimmy McGill, is another great example of. He's similar to Walter White in a lot of ways, of kind of like a good person that becomes a bad person, except the difference with him is that he's got that like a part of him that's always kind of been like that, and he's like really kind of actively fighting against it, but at a certain point just realizes like, no, this is what I'm good at, and so it's kind of an interesting almost where with Walter White it's a transformation. With him it's more of a concession. You see him like give up fighting against it, and it's a really cool transformation. However, that's not who I'm picking. Who I am going to pick is, unfortunately, this is a real
Damn.
criminal from history, but the fictionalized version is so fictionalized from what actually happened.
Dominic Toretto?
That
Hey, he's not a
it
criminal.
basically feels like
He's Robin
just
Hood.
its own character. This is Frank William Abagnale Jr.
Oh, nice.
from Catch Me If You Can.
Nice.
Leonardo DiCaprio's character. That character does such a good job of kind of almost condensing the Breaking Bad experience into one movie. If you see this person with a lot of promise in just like living a normal society contributing life that kind of discovers more of a skill in crime and starts to lean that way, and you see all of like the high glamour of his life of crime, the big houses that he's living in, the different occupations that he ends up in, all of the money that he has. But then you also see his kind of descent into madness and his like everything that he loses with it. And I just think it's such a compelling character, and the ability to do something that sympathizes you to a character the same way that Breaking Bad does, maybe not quite as deep of a level, but to get something even kind of close in a movie that's an hour and a half to 2 hours long is really, really impressive. And you're rooting for him at a certain point, but then even in the movie, you get to a tipping point where you're kind of like, no, this dude is like ruining his life and this needs to be done. But then every time he does something different, you're still kind of cheering.
You're kind of
for
like,
him,
that's
you
pretty
know?
cool that he did
Yeah,
that.
with
He get away with it.
With the plain bathroom where he like goes through the little vent. It's just like, man,
Oh,
that's
dude, all that
freaking
stuff is
sweet.
so
Like
cool.
this guy is
But also,
awesome.
the big thing is it just takes confidence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of the time, he's able to do it. I mean, obviously he's smart, but
But yeah.
he's on the subreddit Act Like You Belong. you know?
Yeah, act
Yeah,
like
exactly.
you belong.
Just-
He's living the clipboard theory. If
Yeah.
you just walk somewhere with a clipboard and you look like you're supposed to be there, then no one will say otherwise.
Or the vest, the yellow vest, and
Yeah,
a
the
hard
yellow
hat and a
vest.
ladder.
Yeah, yellow vest carrying a ladder. Buttoned shirt tucked in, holding a clipboard. Either of those things are like.
Yeah, you'll get away with
Have
it.
you guys seen the thing where the guy dressed up in a tux and he went to the Oscars and ended up getting like in a limo with a couple of like kind of B-list celebrities?
Really? Did he get in the
Yeah,
door?
he just kind of like oriented himself where he wanted to be, and he went to the Oscars and he got in a limo afterwards with some.
Oh, he went to
people.
this
Awesome.
show.
Yeah, he went in.
That's so awesome.
So cool. So yeah, and Frank William Abagnale Jr. Man, just cool
That's a great
character.
pick, honestly.
So
Really
that's
cool
my
character.
guy.
Obviously, honorable mention from all of us for Dom.
Of
Yeah.
course, yeah.
Dominic Toretto.
Dom
Dominic
Letty.
is a criminal of the people.
Also-
though. He really is a Robin Hood. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
the,
hard to
The
call him a
entire main cast of Inception, they're all criminals.
They are.
True.
Yeah.
yeah, very
They're
cool.
kind of a cool cast.
cool criminals.
Also Leonardo DiCaprio.
Batman
He's
is
just a good
technically a
criminal.
villain or a criminal.
He is a good criminal.
Yeah, Vigilante.
Yeah,
Also,
vigilante.
Django, he's a criminal in that. He does a good job.
Yeah. Let's list some other criminals.
Well, you could
Cosby.
call Venom a criminal, but I think, oh man,
No, Venom is such a man of the people.
Yeah,
That he-
I
Venom's
don't
also a Robin
consider him
Hood.
a criminal anymore. You think Thanos is a criminal?
I would say
Yeah.
killing half of life is a
I'd
crime.
say maybe, yeah.
Sure.
I would
He
say that
disrupts.
constitutes
It
a
just
crime.
seems reductive to bring it down to criminal, you know?
Known criminal Thanos.
A mastermind.
Yeah. I almost just said a spoiler for a story that I know that Jared doesn't know, but I'm not going to say the spoiler
What's the
because
story?
I still want Jared to know that story. I'll tell you later,
Thanks.
Lucas. You listener, imagine that I spoiled a pretty cool thing about a character.
Dude, that would be not fun. So are we exhausted of our questions? Have we?
I'm exhausted of this podcast,
Yeah,
honestly.
this one.
Have we run out
This
of
one
crime?
really-
This was a stinker.
This one really made me not happy
No.
about this going forward.
I thought it was
I
No,
am
I'm
fun.
just
loads
kidding.
of
It was fun. I'm just afraid of any condemning things that we said.
Any repercussions? That
It's
might...
like
Sure.
when we were joking about possible bombings, that's
Oh.
fine.
Sure.
But this,
But joking about
This is where I
Joking
draw the
about
line.
hypothetical murders. Well, as long as none of us murder someone or steal a car,
we'll be fine.
nothing in this episode is incriminating at all.
That's true. And
Also,
remember, I'm not
true
gonna kill
crime people
anyone.
talk about murder all the time. I
Yeah,
guess they
come
don't
on.
talk about them killing someone, though.
Maybe they do. I haven't listened to enough to know.
I haven't listened to every true crime podcast, so I
Maybe
don't know.
there's a true crime podcast that's just about them trying to talk about how they would have done it better. They just take it.
the we could have done it better true crime edition.
It's like, well, they did this, but here's how we could have done it better.
kind of think they could have done this better.
Actually,
Actually, I think that
Mom?
maybe they probably should have thought about that evidence.
well,
But
this is a short
regardless,
one, but
we
I think
hope
we
you've
covered
enjoyed
what we had to
listening
cover.
and, hearing us goofing and gaffing. Hopefully, you had some, had some fun listening. Maybe this
Yeah,
was
Yeah.
hopefully
I
your
goofed
heads are
and gaffed
filled
during
with
this
ideas and thoughts of crime.
But again,
But
we're
yeah,
let
never
it
going to
be.
commit these crimes.
And we
Not-
recommend you don't either.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah,
Now we're clear.
it is official Man Cave Movie Night recommendation.
We're against
MCMN recommendation. Do not kill or steal a car.
or commit any other sort of crime. And in
Unless
doing
you
so,
scanned the grapes.
Yup.
And it's just not
And then
charging you.
it
You
said
weighed it
that
too.
it's only-
You
it
didn't
only
tamper with the
weighs
weight.
2
Yep,
cents
you
worth.
You
did
just
not
put it
know.
on and it's like 2 cents. I'll give you my 2 cents. That's a great deal. Ka-ching.
That's a great
Yo.
deal.
Hey, maybe
That's
they're
a-
just on super sale. You don't know for sure. There's no way.
That's a
Come
great
on, let's
deal.
go, dude. Hi, Mom. I want to give you a shout out, and so do these people. Michael Polonsic, Easy Lob, Britton Inkley, Riley Allen, Ian James Martin, and Hannah Steed. These are the people who are giving a shout out to Kel this week because they are our Patreon supporters. Guess what?
What?
You can also be a Patreon supporter by going to patreon.com/ patreon.com/mancavemovie-night and agreeing to give us your money. When you do that, you get extra episodes that are called bonus. They're called what are they called?
Post-credit.
Post-credits
They're
episodes.
called
That's
Where
where,
we
after
goof
the
and gaff.
credits roll of this podcast, we keep hanging out. And usually
Yeah.
it's a little less formal. It's a little more, this is
Because
what
we're
we want to
pretty
talk
formal
about.
on this podcast.
Yeah, it's a little less
Perfect.
formal than us talking about murdering random
Yeah,
strangers.
that's true. But it's always a great time, so we would love to see you there.
We'd love to see you there. And also, you would be able to participate in giving my dear sweet mother, Kel, a shout out once a week, which truly, at this point, is what's keeping her going.
She could use it.
So
Yeah,
really,
she's feeling
she
pretty
could use
depressed
it.
after all that.
She
true
wouldn't
crime.
say so herself, but she could use it. So
I see.
So
support us on Patreon and support my mom.
MyMom.com.
mymom.com. Anyway, is there anything else to say?
Nope.
well,
Thanks for listening. And
Um,
remember, don't commit crimes, and we also, in turn, will not be committing any crimes.
no.
So, since we're not committing crimes, don't commit crimes either. And
That's a
Bazinga,
guarantee
that's a
that
Bazinga
we
week.
won't.
Bazinga
And
day.
it would be a crime for you not to join us on our post credits.
Or
Hey,
next week on
nice.
another Man Cave Movie Night Monday.
Hey,
Hey.
That's a Bazinga.
goodbye.
Bye bye.